जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन 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 यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. We'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, Chapter 18, texts 1 and 2. Texts 1 and 2. The text 1 is a little bit of prose. So together we'll be chanting text 2. I will read the text 1. And then there's no purport for that. I'll just read the translation and then we'll chant the verse 2. Shri Shuka Uvacha Tatha Cha Bhadraśrava Nama Dharma Sutastat Kulapataya Purusha Bhadraśva-varṣe Sakshat Bhagavato Vasudevasya Priyam Tanum Dharmamayim Hayashirsha Vidhanam Paramena Samadhina Sannidhapedam Abhigrananta Upadhavandi. Shri Shukadeva Goswami said, Bhadraśrava, the son of Dharmaraj, rules the tract of land known as Bhadrāśva-varṣa. Just as Lord Shiva worships Sankarshan in Ilavrita-varsha, Bhadraśrava, accompanied by his intimate servants and all the residents of the land, worships the plenary expansion of Vasudeva known as Hayashirsha. Lord Hayashirsha is very dear to the devotees and he is the director of all religious principles. Fixed in the topmost trance, Bhadraśrava and his associates offer their respectful obeisances to the Lord and chant the following prayers with careful pronunciation. So let's chant these prayers with careful pronunciation. Text 2. Bhadraśra-varṣa uchuhu Om Namo Bhagavate Dharmayatma Vishodhanaya Namaiti. Okay, though it's only one line verse, so I'll Bhadraśra-varṣa uchuhu Om Namo Bhagavate Dharmayatma Vishodhanaya Namaiti. We'll chant a little bit slower so everybody can chant too. Bhadraśra-varṣa uchuhu Om Namo Bhagavate Dharmayatma Vishodhanaya Namaiti. It's on the board. Please chant. Bhadraśra-varṣa uchuhu Om Namo Bhagavate Dharmayatma Vishodhanaya Namaiti. Bhadraśra-varṣa uchuhu. The ruler Bhadraśrava and his intimate associates said, Om, O Lord, Namaha, respectful obeisances, Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dharmaya, the source of all religious principles, Atma Vishodhanaya, who purifies us of material contamination, Namaha, obeisances, Iti, thus. Translation, please repeat. The ruler Bhadraśrava and his intimate associates utter the following prayer. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all religious principles, who cleanses the heart of the conditioned soul in this material world. Again and again, we offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Shri Gaunitai ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Devi Shri Sudarshan ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay, once more the translation. The ruler Bhadraśrava and his intimate associates utter the following prayer. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all religious principles, who cleanses the heart of the conditioned soul in this material world. Again and again, we offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Foolish, materialistic persons do not know that how they are being controlled and punished at every step by the laws of nature. They think they are very happy in the conditioned state of material life, not knowing the purpose of repeated birth, death, old age and disease. Therefore, in Bhagavad-gita 7:15, Lord Krishna describes such materialistic persons as mudhas, rascals. Namam duskritino mudhaha prapadyante naradhavaha. These mudhas do not know that if they want to purify themselves, they must worship Lord Vasudeva. They must worship Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, by performing penances and austerities. This purification is the aim of human life. This life is not meant for blind indulgence in sense gratification. In the human form, the living being must engage himself in Krishna consciousness to purify his existence. Tapo divyam putrakayana sattvam shuddhe. This is the instruction of King Rishabhadeva to his sons. In the human form of life, one must undergo all kinds of austerities to purify his existence. Yasmad brahmasaukyam dvanandam. We are all seeking happiness, but because of our ignorance and foolishness, we cannot know what unobstructed happiness really is. Unobstructed happiness is called brahmasaukhya, spiritual happiness. Although we may get some so-called happiness in this material world, that happiness is temporary. The foolish materialists cannot understand this. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj points out, Maya sukhaya bharamudvahato vimudhan. Merely for temporary materialistic happiness, these rascals are making huge arrangements and thus they are baffled life after life. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Dalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I am begging blessings from all great Vaishnavas here. Please welcome back Raseshwar Madhav Prabhu in his original avatar. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your dedication and your inspiration to all of us. Hare Krishna. I am begging blessings from all of you because every living entity is capable of giving blessings. And it's the duty of every living entity to give blessings to anybody who wants to worship Krishna. So please give your blessings so that something of value can be said. So quick context of where we are at. We are in a very ecstatic 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 5th canto. So it has this canto describes, I'll give you a very like a 50,000 foot summary. We described how Priyavrata, Maharaj Priyavrata did his duty, how He was actually completely renounced, like many of our brahmacharis here, but he was instructed to get married, like my spiritual master was instructed to get married. And then he did all of his duties, and then again he renounced his family life and went away. There is the pastime of Agnidra, the king who got very much attached to a very heavenly damsel from another planet. He had many children, but he died thinking of her and he went to her planet essentially. It describes it very clearly. Then we have the famous pastimes of Lord Rishabhadeva, an incarnation, a plenary expansion of Sri Krishna. His instructions, his famous instructions. Then we read in this canto so far, we have read the lives of Bharat, the 3 lives of Maharaj Bharat, then life as a deer, and life as Jada Bharat, the conversation between Jada Bharat and Maharaj Rahugana, which form a fundamental part of our spiritual knowledge. Then the various descendants of Priyavrata have been described and their activities. And then as the descent of Ganga Devi from the causal ocean has been described into this universe, how she flows, how her different branches flow into the different parts of the universe. Lord Shiva's prayers are there. Lord Shiva, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, his prayers are also there. And in fact, the last verse that you must have read is this very beautiful verse which we will quickly read because it will give us great purification by reading that one prayer which we have already read. Yannirmitam karyapi karma parvani mayam janoyam gunasargamohitah naveda nistarana yoga manjasa tasmai namaste vilayo dayatmane. The illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead binds all of us conditioned souls to this material world. It's very instructive that Lord Shiva calls himself a conditioned soul even though he is not, out of his great humility. Therefore, he is Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Therefore, without being favored by him, persons like us, he again lumps himself with the rest of us, cannot understand how to get out of that illusory energy. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who is the cause of creation and annihilation. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada is in the mood of Rishabhadeva and in the mood of the prayers of Lord Shiva. So he's mentioning that, which is why I read that. These prayers are very important. Actually, it's a fact that conditioned souls, we don't know how to pray. It's just like a child going to the market with a lot of money. You know, the child will simply lose all the money and come back without anything. And there are many instructive stories about this. So the parents carefully instruct the child. Don't flash your money, don't show everybody your money, be very careful, ask at least 4 different vendors what is the price of something before you buy it. Like different instructions are given to the child. So similarly, our acharyas and our great personalities are also instructing us through their prayers. Okay, so Srimad Bhagavatam is full of prayers. In fact, these prayers are like the jewels of the Srimad Bhagavatam, different prayers in different parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the prayers of Gajendra, the prayers of Lord Shiva, the prayers of the Prachetas, so many beautiful prayers are there. When we say the prayers, then the prayers are not asking for something always. Like in this particular case, they are instructing, the prayers are instructing, like Prahlad Maharaj's prayers instruct us when we read in the 7th canto. So when we pray the prayers of advanced souls, which is what Srila Prabhupada has instructed us to do, pray the prayers, sing the bhajans of the advanced acharyas, don't make up your own things, because we may make mistakes, we may make offenses, we may have different kinds of rasabhas and all different kinds of things. So they are very deep realized knowledge. So anybody prays the prayers of the great souls gets tremendous benefit. So why are all of these prayers there, right? So the next several verses have the prayers of the different residents of the different heavenly realms within this material realm. So first of all, the purpose of the Bhagavatam is purification of our soul, so that we can remember what we have forgotten. We know everything in the heart. Everything that we know is already in the heart, but it's covered by many layers of dirt. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava maha davag nirvapanam. Many layers of crud is accumulated on the knowledge that is already there. So it's a very dim kind of thing coming out. Consciousness is being exhibited. Practically, most of us in this material world are living like animals. There is absolutely no doubt about it. We are living like cats and dogs. Nobody is interested. Very few people out of the many are interested. And even among those, we have Krishna consciousness as our nth priority, not the first priority. Maybe first something else, second is something else, third is something else, fourth is something else, fifth is something else. Then when something is left over, then we come to the temple. Maybe sometimes. So few of us are very, very fortunate to have not followed that path. But most of that is that. So ultimately the goal of the Bhagavatam is to reawaken our love for Krishna. So everybody has direct love for Sri Krishna. Look at Sri Radha Madan Mohan there. Every single living entity in the whole universe, including the dogs and the cats and the insects and the trees, and every single living entity has deep love for Sri Radha Madan Mohan. But that love is forgotten. So the purpose of the Bhagavatam is to reawaken that love. So the Bhagavatam is actually very, very sweet. But when somebody reads this 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they say, where is the sweetness? I distribute the instructions of Rishabhadeva, especially when I meet a very materialistic person. I pull out that particular book and I distribute it. They start reading it and they're completely shocked. Rishabhadeva is calling us pigs. Like in the material world, he's calling us pigs. So they are shocked. But the goal is to awaken them. That's what Srila Prabhupada's books do. We don't want to necessarily just blow over their boils. We want to awaken them from, of course, we do it tactfully. We don't want to chase them away. But in order for us to taste that sweetness of the Bhagavatam, we need to be free of our disease. And our disease is thinking that I am this body, I am this mind, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a girl, I am very intelligent, I am very strong, I am very handsome, I am very beautiful, I am very rich, I am very poor, I am Telugu, I am Tamil, I am whatever. Now, all of these different instructions. So, Srila Rupa Goswami is instructing us that actually Krishna is very sweet. He is very, very sweet. Syat Krishna nama charita adasitapya vidya pittopadaptara sanastana rochikanu kintu adarad anudinam khalu saiva jushta swadvi kramad bhavati tadgadam moolahantri. Which means that actually Krishna and everything related to Krishna is very sweet. And the sweetest part of Krishna consciousness is Mangalarti. But actually it's the most exclusive darshan that you can get of Sri Radha Madan Mohan at Mangalarti. At every other point, especially festivals, millions and billions of people will be here. But it's difficult. But other days, we have tremendous opportunity. So the sweetness of Krishna consciousness is not tasted by those who feel like sleeping in until the sun has risen is actually very sweet. Because we are in kind of illness, joram, we have fever. Because we have this fever, everything that is sweet tastes bitter. And everything that is bitter we eat. That's what we eat. Because we cannot tell the difference between what is sweet and what is bitter. So people go and take intoxication. It's the bitterest thing. It's poison, but people consume intoxication. People consume flesh of animals. It's really disgusting thing, rotting thing. The moment the animal is killed, it starts rotting. But people eat this, and people think it's a great delicacy because they don't know. They are sick. They're delirious. They don't know what is going on. So in that verse, Syat Krishna Nama Charita Adisitapya Vidya, he says it is as sweet as sugar candy. Rock sugar. If somebody gives you a grain of sugar, the worst kind of sugar is this powder sugar that you get. But the best kind of sugar is that nice big rock candy that we get. You put it in the mouth, it tastes bitter. Right? Kintu adaram anudinam khalu saiva jushta swadvi kramad bhavati tadgadam moolahantri. If we continue to practice Krishna consciousness, this is a medicine, especially if we read Lord Rishabhadeva's instructions, then we will be slowly purified of this and we will develop a taste for what is important. Pretty soon there will be no space in the brahmachari ashram. They will have to build a brahmacharini ashram next to this Prabhupada Bhavan. If somebody actually reads this Rishabhadeva's prayer. Because, again in the Bhagavatam it is said, Pravishta karnarandrena swanam bhava saroruham dunoti shamalam Krishna salilasya thasharat. So when Krishna himself is Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna enters into our ears, Pravishta karnarandrena swanam bhava saroruham, then he goes and sits in the lotus of our heart. Presently our lotus of the heart is closed up like this. It's like a point, it's like a pin. You can't now nobody can sit on a pin, right? On the top of the pin. It's very uncomfortable if you were to sit on the top of the pin. But if that lotus were to open and make a nice seat for Sri Radha Madan Mohan to sit in the heart, then Krishna can come and sit in the heart. So, Pravishta Karanarandrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham comes and sits. And then he sits, Dunoti Shamalam Krishna Salilasyata Asharat. So, Krishna himself cleanses the heart because through his own vibration. And then when such a person, Dhautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Panthas Swasharana Metha. You know, has anybody traveled? Anybody has traveled? Is it very convenient when we are traveling? Sometimes you may not get food, sometimes there is no water, sometimes the accommodation that is offered may not be to our liking, right? Sometimes it may be very noisy where we have to stay. You know, we have to wake up early in the morning where people are partying down there, and very difficult. Last night, for example, they were bursting firecrackers in the middle of the night. So it's difficult sometimes when you're traveling. You get what you get, right? When you're traveling. But Panthasva Sharanametha, when we are traveling and we come back to our own ashram, when we come back to our own home, then you know that your diet will be fully, properly maintained. You know that you have the right place to rest, you have the right place to chant, you have the right place where your books are placed, everything is very beautifully arranged, and then you're, now I'm here, okay? So Panthasva Sharanametha, like this, we are traveling through the whole material world. Sometimes we are thinking that we are a woman, sometimes we are thinking we are a man, sometimes we are thinking we are a father, sometimes we are thinking we are a mother, sometimes we are thinking we are a dog, sometimes we are thinking we are a cat, sometimes we are thinking we are a pig. And we are completely absorbed in that particular consciousness, and we are constantly traveling from place to place. Nowhere there is comfortable. It's not comfortable anywhere in the whole material world. Nowhere there is comfort. You know, constantly there is all kinds of unnecessary inconveniences. You know, you go on the streets of Hyderabad, nobody seems to have any eyes, right? Everybody has to hoot very loudly before somebody can move out of the way. Nobody seems to have any eyes here, like, you know, everywhere. It's a whole, all over India. This is a fact. It's very jarring. You're chanting Hare Krishna and somebody suddenly blows a huge truck horn, and suddenly you're jolted out of your nice chanting, and then you have to listen to some crazy music, and suddenly some smells come from there. Like, it's very, very disturbing, you know. So anyways, Rishabhadeva's instruction, which is, I'm going to repeat his specific instruction. He's telling us, please, don't be like pigs. So he says, Nayam deho deha bhajam naloke, kashtan kaman arati vidbhujamye, tapo divyam putrakayana sattvam, shuddhet brahma saukhyam tvanantam. He says, don't kashtan and kaman, these difficulties that you undergo to fulfill your material desires, where you have to live. You know, we have I come from Toronto, we have 2 business schools in Toronto. And one of the first times my spiritual master, Sankarshan Prabhu, came to Toronto, he said, do you have business schools here? They said yes. They were very proud. There were some MBAs also in the crowd. What are the names of the business schools? He said. So one of the business school is called Shulik. Schulick. So my Guru Maharaj said, like Shulik. And all the MBAs from Shulik were quiet. And then there is both of them are Jewish names. Nothing, no offense against the name itself. And the other business school, what is the name of the other business school? It's called Rotman. Rotman. So my Guru Maharaj said, rot man. That's what the business schools does to people, you know. And the other half of the crowd, which was a bunch of MBAs, also were deflated. Rotman. This is what we are learning from this school. So this is what we are learning in this world. This is what we are learning. We are learning to lick unnecessary shoes, and we are figuring out how we can be rotten so that we can succeed outside. And because somebody who is not rotten is very difficult to succeed in the outside world. Well, devotees are different, but anyway, so he gives many instructions. So all of Rishabhadeva's instructions, I won't repeat, we are running out of time. We'll leave that. So in this particular Bhadraśva-loka, which is one of the heavenly realms, it's part of the Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, it's part of the Swaha realm. They are also worshipping Krishna in the form of the horse-headed incarnation. It's very unusual for someone to even know about this incarnation. But he is very important because at the end of every kalpa, which is every day of Brahma, when Lord Brahma takes rest, then a demon named Ajnana takes away all the knowledge from Brahma. And then Hayagriva or Hayashirsha takes all of this knowledge back from that demon, defeats that demon, takes the knowledge back, and then delivers it back to Brahma the next morning so that the knowledge is preserving. But even though he plays such an important role, and he does it at least 18,000 times in the lifetime of every universe, nobody knows who is Hayashirsha and what activities he does. So Govind Prabhu, one of the great devotees in our movement, he once said, what to speak of us? Even Krishna does not remain prominent in this material world. Even Hayashirsha was doing such an important favor to us, blessing to us. Even he does not remain prominent. Nobody knows what Hayashirsha does. You go on the street, ask, who is Hayagriva? Hardly anybody will know. What does he do? Nobody knows again. But this is the activity that he does. He's very important for us. So, supreme foremost personality of Godhead cannot remain prominent in the material world. What to speak of the rest of us. So don't try, he said, for prominence. Just do your service. Just be very focused on the service. Don't worry about prominence. Because even if you get prominent, it's not going to last very long anyways. We're just passing through, like who knows who Mahabhagavat Das is, right? Everybody here is Mahabhagavat Das. Everybody here is Mahabhagavat Das, right? So there is no particular person like that. So that's why our names are given like this, right? So like Krishna Das, how many Krishna Das are there? Everybody is Krishna Das. Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishna Das. So every person is Krishna Das. Right? So like that, names are given just to help us to avoid that tendency of prominent. But the fact is, more than anybody else, Krishna is always prominent. So in Bhadraśva-loka, in Bhadraśva-dvipa, Krishna is being worshipped like this. Even if some people may not know him. Right? So we should not think that like Krishna is, anonymous, somebody else is more famous in the material world or any other world. It's not true. Om Namo Bhagavate Dharmayatma Vishodhanaya Vishodhana Nama Iti. So he's purifying us. In Prabhupada's purport, now we'll go into Srila Prabhupada's purport here. Srila Prabhupada is writing a very strong purport here, very clear, very unambiguous. Right? He's not mincing words. He's not trying to be politically correct or polite or any of this stuff. Srila Prabhupada knows that his time with us was limited, right? 14 years of preaching is what we got from Srila Prabhupada. So because of that, Srila Prabhupada was very straight and direct. So our spiritual masters are also like that. They cannot afford to waste time because they don't know if they're going to see us again. So they want to give everything that they can give in the thing. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here that people don't know how they are being controlled. They don't know how they are being punished. Srila Prabhupada compares it to, hanging someone upside down into a tank of water. And then when you're about to expire, then they bring you out. And then you take one breath, and before you can take a full breath, back in the water tank. And that time when we are taking that partial breath, we think that we are actually enjoying. So I actually definitely am coming from that kind of world. But I also meet such people, especially in the Western countries. It's like a zoo of such people. It's very, very instructive to be like that. I was distributing books in December. I met one boy from Kurukshetra, Haryana. Okay? Indian boy. I thought that he's from Kurukshetra, I can use that as a connection. But that boy started telling me, I see no difference between myself and a dog. And he did not mean that in a kind of repetitive way, like how Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying or something like that. He was quite callous about it. And then I said, so would you mind again becoming a dog? And he says, yes, I have no problems with it. So at that moment, I never say such things to anybody because distributing books, we want to leave them with a good impression. But for some reason, I don't know what inspired me, but I said, okay, may your desire come true. And he was completely happy about it. And that is exactly what this purport is saying, which is that people don't know how they are controlled. People don't know how they are controlled. A dog does not know that he is in a very abominable birth. And if a human being does not know that a dog's birth is abominable, then he might as well become a dog, no? What's the point? What's the use of his human birth? Right? So Srila Prabhupada is saying, it was very, very interesting. My son was with me at that time. I said, Baba, what did you do? I said, I don't know what made me say this, but, he will become a dog in Canada for sure. Guaranteed. Because I had a Prabhupada's books in my hand. I was trying to distribute. I spent 15-20 minutes trying to distribute a small book to him. And I was completely frustrated at that point in time. Speaking to a boy from Kurukshetra who is speaking like this. Anyways. So, namam duskritano mudha prapadyante naradhama. Maya pritadnyana asuram bhavamashita. He's in that. So what does Krishna say? Kshipam aham asureshveva yonishu. So Krishna pushes that person into such species. But another important thing for us to realize here is that there is no other way of purification other than devotional service. We should not think that there may be some other process of purification. Right? Again, in the 5th canto, we already studied, right? When Shukadeva Goswami, he's going to explain, when he says, he sees all the hellish planets, Parikshit Maharaj, and he's very distressed because Vaishnava is paridukha dukhi, and he sees all the hellish planets, he's very distressed. So he asks him, and he says, no, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana, agam dunvanti karsneha, niharami bhaskara. No, there's nothing else. Specifically for us, in fact, every religious tradition has this. There is a pravritti marga and there is nivritti marga. Every religious tradition has this. And actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proved to Chand Kazi that even Islam has it. There's a nivritti marga and there's a pravritti marga inside of Islam. But 99.99% of those people don't know about the nivritti marga that is available. But I have met some people who have that idea of the nivritti marga inside of Islam. Similarly, same thing in so-called Sanatan Dharma. We went to Ahobilam recently, just coming back from there. We went very early in the morning. So we saw a bunch of people leading animals up to the Ahobila Narasimha temple, like one of the kshetras there. And my son had never seen anything like this ever in his life. And he was asking us, what are they going to do, Baba? And I said, I tried to ignore it, tried to avoid the conversation, but then they came back with the headless bodies. They went to Ahobila Narasimha Kshetra. They were not allowed to do this inside the temple. They did it somewhere outside. But still, they came all the way here, and again they fell into the same pravritti marga. Mamsa, me, me eat he eat me eat he eat me. This is continuing in this mamsa khadati is the definition of mamsa. So anyways, this is happening. So in human form specifically for us, the only form of purification, it's said very emphatically, is it Harer Nama, Harer Nam Aiva Kevalam Kalau Nastyeva Gatinanyatha. And we sometimes get distracted with some, we do yajnas, we do certain things, but ultimately the active ingredient of that whole thing is the Harinam. So we should not focus on something else. Okay, specifically we should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra together. Okay, especially there is a Shubhashita, Sanskrit Shubhashita, which says we say this that we say this when we are distributing books. After 84 lakhs, you have come to the human form of life. You please take this book, read it, make your life successful. But there is a Shubhashita that says Sahasra Janmantareshu Manavatvam, Sahasra Janmantareshu Brahmanatvam, Sahasra Janmantareshu Vaishnavatvam, Sahasra Janmantareshu Matparatvam. So Krishna says that Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. And there are many other verses, right? Srila Prabhupada quotes this. He says, Germany Jayate Shudra. Even when a person is born in any family, they are always born a Shudra because they don't know what is to be done. They're crying unnecessarily for no reason. Right? Baby is crying unnecessarily. You can't call that baby a Brahmana. No, every baby is a Shudra. Right? So, Janmani Jayate Shudra, Samskarat Bhavid Vija, Veda Pathat Bhavid Vipra, Brahma Janati te Brahmana, and then after that point, one has to come to the point of being a Vaishnava. So, devotees are very kind. They call us Prabhu and they address us as being a Vaishnava. But actually, it's a very exalted position to be actually a Vaishnava. So, Srila Prabhupada then quotes he says in the purport that we have to practice austerities. We don't have time to get into it, but there are austerities of body, mind and speech. How we can practice these austerities. And Krishna is very kind to give us austerities that are in the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. We should avoid the austerities that are in the mode of passion and ignorance and perform austerities that are in the mode of goodness, pure goodness. In fact, so real happiness, Srila Prabhupada is ending with this, is that spiritual happiness. Brahma Saukhyam tu anantam. So don't antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedhasam devan devayecho yanti. Don't go into all of this we should never get into this other unnecessary antavattu phalam tesham, things that is ending. Dhruva Maharaj says, gatva yache yadantavat ahobata mumanatme mandabhagyasya pashyata bhavachidam padamulam gatva yache yadantavat. He's saying, I have reached the person who can remove all material sufferings and have gone there to ask him for a kingdom. Look at my terrible intelligence. Of course, he's very intelligent, but he is saying this. So we can see when we come in front of Radha Madan Mohan what we can ask for. We should not ask for. We should just repeat the prayers of the Acharyas. So in the test, whether we are Krishna conscious, was given on Gaura Purnima. Shiromani Prabhu reminded us of this. He says, Gauranga bolite habe pulaka sharir. No pulaka happening. Okay, not yet Krishna conscious. Hari Hari bolite gabjabe nayana bhave nir. So everybody say Hari Hari. Everybody, please, Mataji, say Hari Hari. Nobody has tears yet. Okay. Everybody say Gauranga. Okay, all the hair is still down. Okay. Those of us who have hair, still down. So we have a long way to go in chanting this mantra. Okay. So let us not get into this unnecessary temporary happiness, pursuit of temporary happiness. Let's go after the real thing and let's stay patient and determined to get there. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting this Shoche Tato Vimukha Chetasa Indriyartham. Let us also be compassionate upon those who don't know what we know. Even theoretically, we know some things. So let us be compassionate upon them and let us be very determined. So Srila Prabhupada has a favorite verse that he quotes from Vidyapati. He says, Tatala Saikate Varibindu Sama Sutamita Ramani Samaje. So yes, undoubtedly he says there is pleasure in the society in society, family, friendship and love. These kinds of things are there. There is undoubtedly some happiness is there. No doubt that there is. But Tatala Saikate Varibindu Sama, which means that in the desert, suppose you are in the desert, the Sahara desert or Thar desert, wherever you pick the worst desert you can imagine. You can even go in the middle of Rayalaseema if you want. Right? And Tatala Saikate Varibindu Sama, and somebody said, you want water? And you said, yes, I want water. What you're looking for is like a big 2-liter bottle of water. But they give you 1 drop on your tongue. 1 drop of water. And what that 1 drop is going to do, right? It's not going to do anything. So that kind of happiness is compared to that 1 drop of water in the desert when you're thirsty, you're dying of thirst. Somebody gives you 1 drop of water. So we have to look at Anandam Mudivardhanam. So that is what we can get from chanting Hare Krishna. That is the test of it. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll conclude here. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, challenges, corrections, problems, please let me know.
Thank you, Puji, for wonderful class. As we are seeing here the pillars of the resident of Jammu. So here you give an example regarding that you meet with one Kurukshetra boy and you told about things and how he take your sentences and he ready to become a dog also and become happy. So not only in Canada.
You were saying a dog doesn't have to work. You were saying the dog doesn't have to do anything. I'm saying yes, you definitely fit to be a dog.
Yeah. So nowadays what happens, this situation is not only in America and Canada, now it is available in Hyderabad also.
Yes.
Many places in Hyderabad where the IT companies are going on. And we find out even government also supporting all those things. By
Yes.
cutting, by making the more development, on the name of the development, they are supporting all these things.
Yeah.
So in our, what we have to be do in this type of situations, because we are also coming from that background only, to be more hated toward those peoples,
No.
then the problem will not
No,
be
no.
solved.
Such an interaction is rare. We don't get into these kinds of interactions because it's unnecessary and it will actually push them away, further away from Krishna. So we don't actually do that. This was like an exception, like, because we meet a lot of such people. But in general, my Guru Maharaj told me that you cannot convince someone if you are not convinced yourself. So that means that my conviction should show in my life, right? People can detect if we are not being honest. That people can detect false enthusiasm. People can detect if I am not actually happy, then people can actually detect that in me. So actually, when we go out on Sankirtan, when we see people who are inimical or people who are not enthusiastic about taking our message, they are doing whatever they are supposed to do, but Krishna is showing us a mirror to ourselves. He's showing a mirror to me that actually this is your consciousness, by the way, Mahabhagavat does. This is your consciousness. So that's it. We don't blame anybody else like that. We lament and we feel sad for them. But then after that I prayed that, okay, he's going to become a dog, but let him become a dog in the house of a devotee. So he'll get some prasadam and he will roll in the dust of that lotus feet of that devotee and get purified. Next time he will come back to human form. This time he won't say, I want to be a dog. Or he won't mind because he was a dog in the home of Vaishnava. But that's what I prayed because it was a very terrible thing to say while being on Sankirtan. So we have to be very convinced ourselves, and that conviction should show in our own behavior. Like if I'm not ecstatic and I'm preaching ecstasy, who will believe me? Who will accept it? Srila Prabhupada is ecstatic all the time, so people believed him. So even after 50 plus years after his departure, people are constantly following Srila Prabhupada, right? And everybody else, our goal is to try and connect to Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So our spiritual masters are ecstatic. You can see that people are following them. They see spiritual master once from like half a kilometer away, and they say, that person, I've got to get initiated by that person. Right? And then we wait for years to get initiated, right? Like that. Makes sense? So ultimately, we have to be the sample of what we are preaching. And that takes some time. But if we are in the association of devotees, then we are always ecstatic. No, always, usually, if we are out. So if we are new, we should try our best to go with others who are actually ecstatic. Like go out with devotees here. You are also ecstatic actually, but Hare Krishna. Otherwise, who will be here, sleeping on a mat? Who will do that? If there is not some ecstasy in that. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is there anything else? Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Nam Mahamantra ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.